not unmuted. Yep, there we go. We are the Tendys on Pattison. I am Jack. I am joined today by Chris and the floating head, Paul.
I'm over Australia right now. This is what happens when you wear a green shirt with a green screen.
Little pro tip for you guys: if you plan on filming in front of a green screen, don't wear a green shirt, or you'll end up looking like Zordon.
I think it's Zordon.
Zordon from the Power Rangers.
You'll end up like Zordon. So we are here every Thursday at 5:30 at this time, same bat time, same bat channel on Phillyverse, and also on Twitter at CEV Sports to talk hockey, mostly Flyers hockey, but there's not much of that going on right now. So we're going to talk a little bit of hockey and a little bit of other sports topics, but very briefly to talk about where that falls into the hockey universe. So here we are. Round one of the playoffs is wrapping up. I don't know about you guys. We talked a little bit offline, but does Connor McDavid need to have the C strip from his jersey?
Yeah, I find it funny though when you hear the media. People feel bad for Connor. I don't feel bad for anyone making $13 million, but he needs to request a trade. Let's not forget he didn't score a point in the first two games. That's one, and
he
two
was outscored by a goalie, right?
What's that?
Wasn't he outscored by two goalies?
Correct. Bauer and Flower. And then in game 4, he turned the puck over on the game-winning overtime goal. No one talks about that because he's Connor McDavid. He's Mick Jesus, as they like to call him. Excuse me, Jesus.
You know what kills me, Paul, Chris, and maybe you guys will agree, is sometimes, look, I'm not saying that they're an equal player, but they're in the same stratosphere. Like, I feel like he escapes without criticism where Eichel does not.
Well, it's because Eichel is yet to get to the playoffs. So the way they look at it is McDavid has dragged the Oilers to the playoffs with subpar goaltending, even though Smith was really good this year. But they also don't realize that Eichel doesn't have Draisaitl in his lineup either. So it's a lot easier when you have another guy that's close to your abilities.
I always find it interesting who gets to at least what it feels like from the national media. I don't know what it feels like in Canada. I'm sure it's not fun to be Austin Matthews in Toronto, even though he's had, just as, has Toronto this year. It looks like they're going to get out of the first round. This is going to be the first time though, under Matthews. So it's not like they've had, there's some similarities there, even though Matthews has scored more points. And I would imagine he has a tough time in Toronto too, compared to the excuses that get made for McJesus.
Yeah, no, I mean, without a doubt. And McDavid's been to the second round. He's also won a playoff round, and McDavid leads the league in points every year. And he had a crazy year this year. It just goes to show you that there's more to hockey than just there's regular season hockey, then there's playoff hockey. It's just not talk. How everyone says, well, you got to get to the playoffs, and it's a different game, and it literally is a different game. It's the lanes to the net dry up because the players are playing harder because every game means so much more. Like you need to win 4 out of 7 to advance. It's not game. My wife just texted me, "You are a floating head." Obviously, she didn't catch the first 2 minutes of the show.
Yeah, you're telling the Power Rangers where they need to go.
Yeah. So, but you need to have more than just 2 guys, and this just shows you. Granted, the Penguins have had 2 guys, but they've had more than Crosby and Malkin. That's why they've been successful in the past. That's why they won 3 cups. The Oilers don't. When Chason is on your second line and your second power play unit, that's not good. I think it's Alex Chason, but they're not deep enough. So when they get shut down, your team has nothing. So it is interesting to see who gets the hate and who gets let off the hook.
So going forward, right? We assume Toronto is going to advance. Who do we like coming out of? Do we still like Vegas? Minnesota really they're stringing some together.
You can't pick one or the other because the best words in sports is Game 7. Doesn't matter what round. It's always one of the most fun, exciting rounds you can watch. As a sports fan, as the fan of the team, it's obviously great. But as a sports fan, I mean, I personally love it. Especially when it goes to overtime.
Yeah, I was going to say as the two next best words is Game 7 overtime.
Yeah,
or triple overtime.
it'll be. It should be a good game. I have a hard time. I have a hard time still picking against Vegas. Speaking of which, in that series, that disallowed goal. I don't know if you guys saw it last night.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was terrible. But what people don't realize is in Game 4, there was a virtually identical goal. Eriksson Ek had a goal taken off because Marcus Foligno was standing in front of Fleury, and Foligno was outside the crease. His heels were just on the hair of the crease, and Flower sort of came up against him, which you're taught to as a goalie to eliminating the deflections. The further you're back, the more room you have between you and the deflection, the harder it is to react to it. So you move up on the person that could possibly deflect it or screen you. So it was almost identical, and they waved that off in Game 4. So
it's consistent, right?
If they had they're consistently bad. Yes, if they had allowed that last night, they would have probably started throwing stuff on the ice. Maybe like bags of popcorn, possibly. But but yeah, it was bad, and that sort of changed the game. And actually, the series in a whole has been about that. In Game 3, you had Minnesota was up 2-0 in the first period, absolutely, humming, and they go up 3-0. But the third goal was offsides. It was the correct call. And the minute that happened, the game changed, and Vegas rolled after that. And even in Game 4, like after the disallowed goal, Vegas just took over. I still think Vegas wins. So when you're going on to the next round against the Avs, without Patch, I mean, people won't realize because Vegas is on the West Coast and they get sort of forgotten about. But Vegas does not have their leading goal scorer, Max Pacioretty. I don't even know what the injury is. It didn't seem like it was anything serious towards the end of the regular season, and then he just hasn't been there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't even know if he's in the lineup. Is Game 7 tonight?
For what? No, it's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
If I'm betting, I'm obviously taking Vegas. It's the first time, that they host in a Game 7, so you got to figure that crowd's going to be into it. I'm assuming they have a crowd.
It's Vegas.
It's not full. It's not full.
It's Vegas. Yeah, right. And just with Vegas, apparently is a hockey town. Which is crazy when you think about it. But you have Game 7. You have Marc-Andre Fleury. I'm honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they won 2-0 and he has like 38 saves. Like he's clutch. There's nothing you can say about him, And he killed the Flyers for so many seasons. We know this, So
at least he's in Vegas, so we can appreciate him now instead of just having pure hatred for him.
Yeah, I mean,
now we get to appreciate Jari.
Yeah.
See, it's not even, and when you look at like the money line on the betting and everything, this could go either way. It's plus 175.
You telling a spooky story?
Yeah, you ain't lying. And then a minus 175. So it can go either way.
Your mouth is like disappeared. You're like all going right here.
Yeah, we're all over the place. I've got a floating head. I've got Friday the 13th story underneath me. We're everywhere today. Geez, you really knocked me off kilter there. So then they get whoever wins that game gets the wonderful ability to go against McCarr and McKinnon.
Just cadreless, which is like
Which is tough. That's a loss. It's a major loss.
so dumb. It's just so dumb. There was just no need for it. I if the Flyers traded for him, I'd be pissed off because even though he's a very good player, you can't it's not a trend anymore. This is what he does.
Yeah, this is what he does. And Wilson's not even that bad.
No.
And we like to think of Wilson as being, over the line a lot. Kadri is in a different.
With Wilson, it was really the only play that he's had that's been really, really, really bad was the hit on Sundqvist in the preseason. What was it, 2 years ago now? After they won the cup, and he knocked him out. He was suspended, I think, 15
He got a
games.
hefty one. Yeah, he got a hefty one.
Yeah, so outside of that, his ones you have to slow down and analyze it. It's CSI to see if it's bad or not. Where Kadri, it's when it happens, you're just like, oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah, and this one was particularly, you've got all the spotlight on you. It's the playoffs. You're not going to have a high margin for error with something that there's no reason for your elbow to be that high. There's none.
No need to go for the head.
Yeah.
Just freaking hit the guy. Just hit him in the shoulder. Poke check the puck. Get the puck out of it. That's all that matters. You're just trying to defend. Don't kill the guy.
Yeah. Then how about the hit that Tavares took? I don't know if you guys talked on it.
Yeah, that was a free. No, we haven't. That was
last week, Chris. We didn't have baseball. We talked about it. Shut
up. Freaky, accident, ugly, scary stuff. But
he's back on the ice today.
I mean,
yeah. So he's skating too on his own.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. But head injuries can be really scary. You hear about guys in the NFL. Sometimes they take these head injuries, get back to the locker room, and have a seizure. Head injuries you can have a stroke from it. They're scary stuff. And the way he looked, where he couldn't even support his own neck, it was obviously very scary. It's very nice to see someone recover and it not be that bad. You wonder when it's that bad what the lasting effects are going to be.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. It was very, very scary, and you could just see the Leafs GM Kyle Dubas, just he's just falling apart inside. you could just see it, and especially when the trainer was out there when that whole thing went down, he was just having a meltdown. You got to be kidding me!
You could see the panic.
Yeah, and I'm sure. And after the fact, after they realized, that he was going to be okay, I'm sure part of him was like, damn, if he can't go for a while, if he's out, if they lose him next year, that's going to because you can't replace him. You have to put him on long-term injury reserve, and it's just a whole goddamn mess. But yeah, that was scary. Now, I heard there were people complaining about how TSN and everyone kept replaying it, especially in the arena. It's an injury. It's not like he got decapitated. They kept showing his head rolling along the ice. He got hurt. They're showing it.
And it was such a freaky thing, right? It was such it's not common. It happened very fast. Sometimes you do need to show it to see exactly what caused this. And it just is injuries happen in sports. And I'm not saying we want to replay, who was a quarterback whose knee went.
Oh, Alex Smith.
Yeah.
With a chin,
we don't need to replay that. We don't need to replay Dak's foot the other way, but we can show before it, how it happened. We just don't necessarily need to see someone fold it in half either.
Yeah, people are acting like it's the Iron Lotus, and it's not. So let's just relax on that. So it happens. Injuries happen all the time. It's part of the game. That was just, again, yeah, it didn't look bad, but we know it was bad. He got hit, but it's hockey. You expect hits to happen. You just don't expect the guy to get hit and then hit again. That's almost like a football play.
Yeah.
And you're just moving at such a tremendous speed, like that is, I don't think if you've never been to hockey live, you don't really have like much point of reference for how fast the game moves.
Especially when they're showing it on slow-mo replay to show you like what he hit and everything like that. Like you don't get a full appreciation on TV how fast they're going. Like you said, when you're there live, you get, especially in the playoffs. In the regular season, guys pace themselves. So they have to because they're human beings.
It's an 82-game season,
Yeah,
long haul.
So but once you get the playoffs, it's all out because you want to win every single shift because that one shift that you don't win can cost you your season.
So on kind of those notes, and those things, we're here in Philly, and we have playoff basketball going on, and the big story in the NBA is about popcorn being thrown on Westbrook.
Popcorngate.
I called it Popcornghazi in the show blurb, but yes, Popcornghazi. And I feel like, and we'll get into I don't want to get into the nuance of it, but basically I feel like when this kind of stuff happens, it feeds into this national narrative about the city and the people that attend our games, and in general Philly sports fan.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It happens here probably more frequently than most places. Maybe New York, but it happens very frequently, and there's a reason why we have that reputation. So what irritates me is when, especially nationally, when no one is talking about what happens in other cities, like last night, where a guy spits up in New York, spits at what's the guy's name? Trae Young's face. Like that is way worse. I'd rather have popcorn. At least I can enjoy the popcorn. There wasn't like a 5-pound weight in the bag of popcorn. So people just need to calm down.
Like we're in the middle of a pandemic, or the end of a pandemic, and we got this moron spitting. Not only Trae Young, but the surrounding fans around him. Like this is stupidity at its finest. And let's get to the real thing. Like, what grown adult is buying popcorn?
Shut up, the two of you. I eat popcorn at Phillies games, not all the time, but I do.
Do you have a child with you? Do you have a child with you?
What's that?
Do you have a child with you?
I think some of my friends would consider my wife a child.
What I will concede to Paul, and this isn't just because we're on a show, is Cracker Jack is like a traditional baseball food. So we're going to say, let's separate baseball from the indoor sports.
Well, especially because if you're at a baseball game, you're just trying to stay awake in the middle of the game at this point. But would I be eating a box of popcorn or a bag of popcorn at a Flyers game? Nah, I'm having my roast pork or my cheesesteak, my Philly cliche items, which you won't be having Lorenzo's pizzas next year because they're out, right? They're leaving the center. But the one thing I do want to bring up is how people were bringing up hate for the Wells Fargo Center for allowing this to happen, and they get the same hate at Eagles games and at Phillies games.
Are they supposed to not sell food or drink?
No. Just the fact that they couldn't prevent it from happening. So I guess the each stadium is supposed to have 20,000 security guards. So basically, when you buy a ticket, you have to buy a ticket for a security guard that sits next to you to make sure you don't so you don't spit on someone or throw popcorn at someone. Like, come on. At some point, as an adult, you have to be held responsible for your actions. You can't completely prevent people from being idiots and assholes. They're gonna do it. They're gonna be themselves. So
I've never gone to a sporting event and thought you know what? I'm gonna throw something at these at this player. I'm gonna do this. First off, that popcorn is probably $12. Just throw $12 at me.
It's a bad investment.
Yeah, because it's probably half kernels too.
Right.
Yeah.
Just throw it at me. But like, never once has it ever come to my. You know what? This guy's really getting under my skin. I'm gonna throw this sausage at him, or I'm gonna throw this cheeseburger.
I mean, that might be hilarious.
Right.
The fact that you went to a sausage. I'm going to throw this sausage at you.
Yes. I told you. I keep it real. I bring the color commentary. That's why I'm here. But like, what are you throwing food for at people? Like, why? Like, you're that angry at Russell Westbrook?
But he's not. He's not that angry because he had to dump it like in the dark of night. Like it was like between. There's like a canopy over the tunnel, right?
Yep.
So it was like between the canopy and the railing. It's not like he stood there and was like, "Yo, Westbrook, you pissed me off. Here, have some popcorn."
Right, and this isn't the Malice at the Palace. Like, he's not running into the stands and fighting everyone. Although, I mean, if I can fight an NBA player, you might sell more tickets. But like you're not running into the stands. Your teammates isn't running into the stands. I get that he had to play the role of the heel that we all talked about earlier, but what do you expect? Again, I'm not condoning the actions of that moron fan who threw the popcorn kernels or whatever else at him. But when you play the role of the heel, you got to expect repercussions. Doesn't make it right. Look at Ty Domi. A fan jumped into the goddamn penalty box and tried to fight him. Oh, he fell.
Do you remember that? Yeah, I was going to say that fan wasn't jumping anywhere. As much as I'm not picking on him, but I'm just saying, like, I ain't jumping anywhere, and he sure as hell wasn't.
But to your point, Chris, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, but to your point, I feel like there's certain unwritten rules we have between fan and athlete, and I think that right. So two things. One is, as like an athlete, if you're going to embrace that role, there's only a few guys that are good at it. But if you're going to embrace that role, there's going to be an idiot fan who takes it too far. And I use the word idiot fan because this guy's a jackass. He's an idiot. No ifs, ands, or buts. But there's going to be an idiot fan who takes it too far. You, as idiot fan, should also have the unwritten rule of, if I wouldn't do this to Russell Westbrook if I saw him out on the street, I shouldn't do it if there's security between us. You deserve an ass kicking. You throw food in someone's face, you deserve an ass kicking. And if you didn't have the balls to do that with nobody between you two, then you shouldn't do it otherwise. I mean, you shouldn't do it anyway, but you shouldn't do it otherwise, because usually what happens if you were to do that to another grown adult is you would be engaging in fisticuffs. Those are the unwritten rules.
Yeah, but you're right. But let's also recap Westbrook's history in Philadelphia. I mean, again, that old white man who they gave him the double finger to. That dude was that dude's a doctor. That dude he's a doctor. Like, you go back and you look at the history, he's like a well-respected doctor. What did Russell Westbrook do?
Don't besmirch Brian Westbrook.
Yeah. What did Russell Westbrook do that you had this old man flipping you off twice? Like, and that's where you think about it. Like, what? And now we're in our second incident. So what did Westbrook do or say? What he's going to antagonize the crowd?
I mean, and there's been other stuff that's happened in Westbrook and other
cities. So
like,
Westbrook isn't the hero in this story. He's the heel, and now he's acting like,
he's not the innocent victim.
Correct.
Yeah.
But also, like, I feel like he's
hitting the champion with the belt while the ref's not looking.
It's not like Wells Fargo came out with a statement that said Russell Westbrook deserved it. We're giving this guy free season tickets next season.
Oh my God. I would buy season tickets.
And
swear to God.
And unlimited popcorn.
Yeah, we're giving him a lifetime supply of Orville Redenbacher.
That would be phenomenal.
Or Pop Secret, his choice. Movie theater butter only. But point being is, as soon as they figured out who it was, they came out with what it is they were going to do. Like, it's not like, so the narrative comes out of like, oh, horrible piece of shit Philly fan. Okay, fine, we've earned our reputation, whatever we want to say. Horrible piece of shit Philly fan, scumbags, typical, and that was the end of it. Like, no, the building and the team made a statement about how unacceptable it was and yanked the guy's season tickets indefinitely, and he's not allowed in the building, indefinitely. So that I don't know how easy it is to get Sixer season tickets. I know they're very expensive. So, like, what else are they supposed to do? The punishment was given. Instead of coming right out within minutes and not giving people a chance to dole out that punishment, we had to hear about how his face should be everywhere. Why? So he can get fired from his job for something that had nothing to do with his job? He's a piece of shit. Everybody thinks it.
Right, and that's the thing where people are talking about, like, on social media. We need this guy's face planted. Why? Because why
don't shoot someone? He didn't shoot anyone. He didn't actually harm anyone. Like,
he got his punishment. The punishment fits.
Punishment. He's an idiot. There's nothing more. He probably lost his deposit for next year's season tickets. Like, what else do you like? Showing this guy's face, you're giving him, a couple more minutes of fame.
Well, you also don't know what secondary repercussions come from that. So, the punishment's got to fit the crime. The crime was going out of bounds at a sporting event. He didn't assault anybody. He got his season tickets revoked. What additional punishment or what additional repercussions do we want to give this person by putting his face out there? What is it? What do we want to get from it?
This is what we do. They put a stage up in the parking lot at the Wells Fargo Center, and they have Gritty dump a dump truck size bag of popcorn on them with very hot butter.
so you think about it, and you had the talk show host talking that they want this guy arrested for assault. I mean, I'm just gonna get real quick into our city. Look at what our city's going through, and this is what we're worried about.
But also, again, like we. Well, I don't want to go through too much politics. I really don't.
No, that's fine.
I really don't. But I'm going to say these things, and then I'm going to put it away.
That's fine.
We talk just because I don't want to, I want to talk hockey, and I want to make sure we don't get too far off. But also, I don't want to say something to get myself in trouble. But the point is we go through all these things about criminal justice reform, and we don't want people sitting in prison for too long for crimes that don't fit. We don't, if those are the things we want. And all, then why are we going to go through theater of punishing someone for something he got? It's a civil matter. He got punished. Move on. It's nothing that wasn't solved with a shower. Now, the guy who spit on Trae Young, yeah, that's assault. No, that's assault. Spitting on someone is assault. Yeah, throwing food at someone is not. Especially popcorn. It'd be like throwing a couple sheets of paper.
The sausage would be assault.
What if it was a
sausage? The sausage would be, that's it. That's it. You're done.
Now is it peppers and onions or just a plain sausage?
Just a sausage.
Yeah, come on, let's not get it silly here.
Hey, silly. Well, I saw the I forget what place it was. They made like a 600-foot cheesesteak or something like that.
Yeah, but they just put the bread it was just individual sandwiches. It was a
terrible. Yeah, terrible cheesesteak, but still.
As I said
I would have taken a section of it for free.
I'll take a sandwich. I'm not gonna turn it away.
The pandemic's over. What does Philly do? Builds a 500-foot cheesesteak.
Damn right, baby.
Oh, it just never gets. It never gets dull here.
You have to eat it like you're a floating head. You have no hands.
You're like a sentient emoji over there, Paul.
So what question do you want? Sad? That's what we usually are whenever we're watching our freaking.
When we're watching the Flyers, right?
Yeah. This is what when the Phillies are on.
But one of the things to get back to hockey is obviously we're going on the second round. but what we have to look forward to is off season right now, right? And right when the playoffs end is the draft lottery selection.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Flyers don't really have a chance at entering because they've changed the way they do the odds. They don't get to be the Rangers of last year, which again I feel like when you change the rules, you have to live with what the rules were prior to. And obviously, sitting in Philadelphia, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but nonetheless,
Hold on. I want to. We'll get back to it in 1 second.
no.
But it made the top 5 things to eat at the Wells Fargo Center.
Shake Shack.
Popcorn was on the list.
Get out
What?
of here. Get out of here.
It was number 4. Real
Get outta
Rice was number 5.
Do you want to know who voted for it? Russell Westbrook. He thought it was pretty good.
I just had to get that out because I was trying to find the actual.
Get out of here. Shake Shack is the number one.
No. It was in the top 5. Shake Shack was what?
Yeah. Shake Shack is number one. The fries are too
But-
crispy to act like it's something different.
So the draft lottery is set for next Wednesday, June 2nd.
Oh, well, we don't really have a chance at getting up there.
What was it like? It was like 0.2%. I was looking at the numbers.
They heavily weighted it now, which it always probably should have been.
I mean, we were talking before we went live. My idea was to take because I don't think every team that misses the playoffs should be eligible for it. Because like if you miss the playoffs by 2 points, you shouldn't be able to get the first overall pick, which I don't think you can now. But still, or at least this year. But still, I don't think you can. You should be able to at all. I think it should be either the bottom 4 or 5 teams enter the lottery, and then it can be weighted on those teams. You have a higher the worse records you have, the higher chance you have of winning, because that's the way it should be. Because even though you shouldn't be guaranteed it, if you were the worst team, you should have the best odds of winning it. My idea was the last place team in the 4 divisions. So you have 4 teams those 4 teams have a chance.
Each have a 25% chance or something.
Well, no, it can be weighted again. It can be weighted based on their record, but those are the only teams that can win it. That was my idea. Again, no matter what you do when you have a draft lottery, someone's going to be pissed off. Someone's not going to agree with it. It's not going to be unanimous.
Patrick Kane has entered the chat.
So I'm looking at the odds, and now do they do the draft like they do the NBA draft? Like they pick them out of a card and they do it live?
Yeah, it's a whole pomp and circumstance.
How awesome would it be if they go all the way down and Arizona gets the number 1 pick? Because
when they don't get it.
Yeah.
Redraw. They have to redraw everything. I'm rooting for that. How awesome would that be?
Just chaos, just pure chaos.
Oh my God, I would love it.
No, I mean they're like, I guarantee you their card isn't even in there. Their ball isn't even in there.
Now it says Arizona is 3.1%.
Yeah, but
Arizona being selected in the lottery will result in a redraw. That would
and I'm telling you, the Phillies have just as good of a chance of winning the World Series. Like there's no
mark it down.
It would be if they drew that, how dumb would they look? They would look like fools.
I mean,
so
that's the thing.
We're all rooting for it then, right?
Well, the thing is like hockey already has like a I don't know, not just as a niche market, but they already have like hinky things like where if there's a penalty, you take a guy off, and the rules change, and so like to have something like that, it would take anybody that's on the fringe of it or that wants to point and say, see, it's not a serious sport. It would give them that fodder. They can't afford to look that bad.
No.
So just imagine like these 16 teams go. The Flyers get the number 2 pick. Arizona gets the number 1 pick. Then they redo it, and then Flyers get the 16th pick. And the Rangers,
I mean, they deserve to be 15. They deserve to be 15.
Oh yeah, well they're projected to be at 14.
Yeah, like.
So.
Well, actually, no, they're projected to be 13.
Ooh.
Because Arizona will not get the pick.
Oh, shut up. They had known as Paul.
Being said, if the Rangers win the lottery again,
the last possible
with a
team.
1% chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they might have a parade like they did for the first Knicks playoff win in 10 years.
All right. So I didn't read much into it and look much into it. Did that really happen?
They were all outside the building, yeah. They all flooded the street. It wasn't a parade, but they flooded the street like it was like they won the
Like
the
it was
finals.
Frankfurt and Cotman?
It was Frankfurt. Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was everywhere. You didn't see it? They had chance of we want Brooklyn, and then they had chance of we want Philly.
But they don't get either of them. Doesn't matter. Like,
Well, they're going to go. They're going to go through Milwaukee.
no, they won't.
Who do they play second round?
It would be us.
They said they
We're
want
talking
Philly or they
basketball
want Brooklyn.
again?
Oh, okay. What's that?
Is this basketball again?
Sorry. We're talking
Sorry.
about how the Rangers fans would flood the streets like the Knicks did, like the Knicks fans did if they won the lottery again. But
Are they going to flood the street by all them spitting in it?
Oh God!
they're going to paddle through
Oh.
right to the Hudson.
Right to the Hudson.
Yep.
So
Well, let's put a smile on our face. Let's talk about the Penguins.
yeah, I mean, look. The only thing that I will enjoy second to that is I can't is when Boston gets eliminated. I don't know that I can put up with that kid and his like sign of how many championships Boston has won since he was born. I don't know if you've seen those images at the parades.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can put up with seeing that freaking sign again.
Screw him.
Yeah, exactly. So that once that happens, anybody can win. I don't care.
Yeah. It's so awesome. I mean, you had game 4 where you had Malkin and Letang just losing their goddamn minds and taking just dumb penalties and that was just so enjoyable. And then game 5, the Penguins just absolutely dominating them. But Sorokin standing on his head. That Sorokin kid's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. He's better than I thought he was.
And then they win in double overtime because Jari just gives the game to them. It's with like a nonsensical play.
Didn't Jari and Hart work out together in the offseason?
Yeah, and they both had that goalie coach that probably lost all his clients because it got brought out that he worked with them. But it's just like I don't know how I'd be able to react after that game if I was either a coach. If I was a coach of that team, I would have went in my office and like destroyed the office, and came out and said everything's okay. Tristan, we're
in your back. Yeah, we got your back.
For game 6, only because our backup Casey DeSmith is hurt. If you were a player, would you have been able to bite your tongue?
I mean, we know, but we've seen these kind of things here. You know,
yeah, it's true. Yeah, like that bad. I mean, we've had some bad goals go in, but they
were like heartbreaker goals. I guess when that happened, you know how it goes. Sometimes when that happens for some guys, they never get it back.
I mean, you had 95. You had Lemieux's, slap shot from just inside the blue line in the conference finals against the Devils, but that didn't end their season. Like, I mean, that didn't end their season, but it wasn't a double overtime goal after you've dominated them all game.
No, you're right.
And you had Steve Mason's dribbler from the other blue line, but again, that wasn't a game-winning goal, and it was a series they weren't going to win anyway. Like,
they're heartbreakers though. Like the Hextall pop fly, you remember that one?
Yeah, it's just.
They're heartbreakers because then you lose confidence, and the goaltender lose confidence, and the guy playing in front of him, playing in front of him lose confidence.
And then the goals he gave up in Game 6 were just,
he didn't have it. He didn't. He looked like Brizgalov when he said he couldn't stop a beach ball.
Now is Sorokin? I'm saying Ilya Sorokin. Is he the starter for the second series?
He just won the 4 games you won, right? Because Varley lost the other 2 games.
I don't know.
And he had like a 950 save percentage. If they go with someone else, the team may fire Trotz.
They've got to ride him.
Yeah.
He's forced their hand.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, if he has
a bad game, that's a different story.
Yeah, but right now he's got to be the next guy.
He's earned the starts until he loses them.
But my thing is, he won game 1. He saved 39 shots out of. Why did they go to?
Varlamov.
I wouldn't have, but Varley was awesome all year, and
But then why didn't you start him in game 1?
He came off an injury, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily clear because if you remember, I missed I think at least the first half of game 1. I was texting you guys like, what the hell? Like, why isn't Varlamov in there?
I'm pretty sure he was coming off an injury at the end of the season.
Yeah, so I just think it was, he didn't pitch a 60 save shutout. Like he was good, but he wasn't as good like he was in game 5. But yeah, I mean, different situation though.
So after you slash everybody, your GM Ron Hextall, you're looking down your roster in Pittsburgh. You're looking at your farm system. Is it time to make? I don't know if bringing in Carter was them saying this is our last run before we decide we're going to start paying attention.
Don't forget Carter's still signed.
How many more years?
1 more.
Okay, so maybe they're saying next season is their window, because Letang's getting up there too. Letang's been banging around a long time.
Yeah, I think that was part of the reason why they let there was a disagreement with I can't think of his name.
The previous GM.
Yeah, and that's what I think he wanted to. All right, let's not go in full rebuild mode, but let's deal Malkin. Let's deal, maybe Letang, and get some prospects for them that can help our depth and just our cap situation that can free up money too. And the Penguins didn't want to do that. So, I mean, if I'm Hexy, and this goes against everything he ever did here, obviously, which would also be getting a good goalie. Flower is a UFA.
You bring him back.
I mean, he's the best.
Do they have the room?
No, they have $256,000 in cap space
for next season.
Yeah, but they can.
They've been. Yeah, they're going to have to, but.
Yeah, there's ways around it. You can don't forget.
You can look at what Tampa did, right? Just put your 2 highest paid players on LTIR. Hope you make the playoffs. And
Malkin, you're hurt. You can't play to the playoffs. Damn. But no, I mean, a Jason Zucker deal, man. Oof, that's not looking good.
How about what's his name that they brought back? He's making a lot too, right?
Mattison. Oh my God, Mattison. He's
why
he's got 5 years left at 4.875.
That's why I'm thinking of, like, when you look down their roster, and obviously Crosby still has more in the tank. Obviously Malkin still has more. They're not, it's not like this is their last year or two, but they're high. Their best years are behind them. I don't want to say their high-end years are behind them. Their best years are probably behind them. And you've got a lot of guys in bad contracts, which was not necessarily the Pittsburgh way for a while. And they've got some decisions to make because there is
$11 left. That's crazy.
They've got no young guys to bring in, to
By the way, Jari still signed for 2 more years at 3.5.
Yes.
So they would have to trade off Jari, which at this point you're just
no one's taking that.
Well, someone depending on who it is might give him a shot.
Maybe
if they're giving up like a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Because 2 years at 3 point, what did I just say, 3.5.
It could be a worse contract, but you're paying it. It's a little above average for what's going to probably be your backup, right?
A team like Detroit. I mean, giving a 26-year-old goalie that showed promise, that's had a couple of rough years. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for them. They don't have any young guys.
And don't forget, we still have the expansion draft. That draft.
Yeah, in Seattle, but they're not going to shed. When you look at that roster, when you're that tight against the cap, they're not going to shed enough up to bring in a free agent. Everything that they're going to have to do is going to have to be a hockey move, and teams aren't going to want to eat contracts in this cap. you're not going to be able to do something like Jari. You might be able to move because at that position you can never have too many options, I guess.
Right.
And he's not that expensive. He's not Bob's contract. But
You got to figure the Kraken have to bring in a goalie.
but there might be other options too.
Well, yeah, depending what the options are. But you got to you don't think the people who at the Kraken aren't looking at what Vegas did in their first season, and
everybody else
they're successful. They've had some deep playoff runs. I think last year wasn't that deep, but they're in Game 7 right now. Like they can make a deep run.
The league, what is going to be asked? So many teams were in cap trouble, and so many teams were just in trouble heading into that Vegas draft. It's not going to be it's not going to be the same. It's just not. They're not going to get a bunch of what Vegas got. GMs were a little more hip to this one.
Yeah, there wasn't. There's not. It doesn't seem like there's all this panic, and I mean, Seattle's going to get good players because of teams' situations, and
the rules are stacked that way now.
Yeah, and I mean, when you pay $500 million, you better get rules to get in the league. You better get rules to give you a good team, because, I mean, and if you're going to let them come in the league, do you want them to be awful? No, you want maybe not. I mean, the existing teams don't want them to be like what Vegas was, but you don't want them to be terrible. You want them to be good.
The NHL learned their lesson when it came to the expansion teams before Vegas, right? Where those teams really struggled in the beginning.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. So they set the rules up to try and be competitive pretty quick. They may have overcorrected a little bit with how it goes.
Not when you're paying that much money for a team.
No, this is all that is also true. But nonetheless, now that teams have a better feel for the way those rules work, obviously, because the rules are set up the way they are, Seattle's still going to end up with a decent team. They're not going to end up with what it used to look like, where you got a bunch of, They're
going to be better than the Sabres.
Yes, and probably Detroit.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. But the other point is you're not going to see as many teams, when you look back at what Fletcher had to do. When he was in, yeah, exactly. The floating head says it all.
Jordan has spoken.
But when you look at that, it's not necessarily for most teams going to be that they're going to have to keep giving up additional picks or making trades to say you're not going to take this player. It's just the whole setup's going to be different.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we know about the Flyers and all the other. The no trade and no movement clauses. You see any of that happening with the Kraken? Not specifically with the Flyers, but they're going to make a move to try and get these players who have the no movement clause.
That's going to be up to the player and the team. You have to look at what players might be unhappy that have no movement clauses, and you might have to look at what teams have to approach those players and discuss with them, hey, here's what we're looking at here.
I don't see a lot of players willing to go to an expansion team.
Yeah. Especially,
they have to be really, really unhappy. And at the end of the day, if you're making that much money, you can only be so unhappy.
So where you might see some movement that you don't usually is I don't know. You think any RFAs end up in Seattle? That would be where I would expect some movement. That's not traditionally been the case over the last few years.
Yeah, you know how this all get really interesting is if Seattle wins the first overall pick, because then you're gonna have. It's weird. It sort of sucks for them because you're coming off of COVID and this draft year's all screwed up, and you don't have
some great defensemen though.
You don't have a great generational player to either A, you can take, or B, trade that pick for someone else for even more, because it's one of those things
there's not a McDavid, there's not a Crosby.
That being said, if there's a McDavid there, Seattle would be stupid.
You have to take it. Yeah, you'd have to take
him because it's immediate ability to publicize your team and
sell tickets and sell jerseys.
Yeah.
but there are some really good defensemen. I mean, we don't know. There might be a generational talent in here that we haven't really been able to see that much, especially over this year. But there are some very solid defensemen. There's another one of the Hughes brothers coming out.
Jack.
Yeah. Well, is it Luke Hughes? Jackson in New Jersey.
Oh yeah, it's Luke. Yeah, apparently he's a big hulking, not offensive defenseman.
And then there's Owen Power, who played for Michigan. Those two have kind of been flip flopping at one, depending on which rankings you look at. But each of them has also gone as far as 5. Because we haven't got to see much of them.
Yep.
In the Flyers case, there's a kid from Sweden. It's like Artu Rete. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but he was as high as 1. But everybody looked at this past season as a disappointing season. He's a center, which is always valuable. He was as high as 1, and I don't know. Everyone expected him to take the step forward this season, and I wonder how much those guys, the disappointment players that are falling, how much we're overvaluing this shit year, and what it meant to kids.
It's going to be just a free for all. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. That's what I always say if I don't know what's going to happen. One thing I think that I do firmly believe in, there's going to be a lot of buyouts this year in this offseason.
Yes.
We talked about it last week when Chris was off playing baseball. That like Vlasic from the Sharks being a possibility of a buyout, and then a team like the Flyers being interested in him at like a cheap, short-term deal, 1 or 2 years, because he's a veteran guy that could fill, especially if you have to trade Phil Myers for like a Dumbo or something like that, that can fill that hole until a guy like Cam York is ready. And Ken Holland came out yesterday and said that a buyout or 2 would not be out of the question. And of course, I was like, they're buying out McDavid. He's getting McDavid on a cheap deal since he's going to get $12 million in his buyout. But there's going to be buyouts out there.
I also feel like there's just going to be movement. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Now, because I'm just throwing it out there.
Throw it out there.
Do you think
like popcorn, baby?
Erik Karlsson?
No.
The Kraken?
Nope. No.
I mean, you would see Burns before Karlsson, but I don't think you're going to see either.
Isn't Burns like 90?
They're both up there.
Does he have a no move?
They both, I'm sure, do.
Oh, they both do. But But obviously, we heard the comments earlier in the season from Karlsson. He would have to waive his.
Burns has a modified no trade, so he
doesn't have an NMC. He can be left
unprotected. Karlsson has a contract no move, but Karlsson has Jesus.
He's got
his contract.
He signed till he's 70.
His contract runs off my screen.
Yeah. He's signed through his Social Security.
It's the Bobby Bonilla deal. He's still going to get paid. Yeah, I just figured, maybe something like that, because that's what they did. That's what Pittsburgh did with Marc-Andre Fleury. He waived his no trade clause, his no movement clause, and then
the team was ready. The team was ready to move on from him, and I think he was ready to move on from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but I mean, earlier in the season, Karlsson didn't sound too happy.
No, but he said
no, but I don't know that Seattle's going to want to take that either.
Right, that's what I said. I'm saying for selling tickets, we're
Karlsson has to be willing to do it.
Right.
He might not want to go to Seattle. Yeah.
So he may not be happy in San Jose, but San Jose they have good players. He's not going to waive to go to an expansion team that you have no idea what they look like.
But also, it's not Vegas, right?
It's not Vegas.
It's not Las Vegas.
Yeah,
true.
Even though it's very close to San Jose, but maybe
the taxes are better though.
It's true. And people went out of California like bad.
So here's another thing. Before we end, obviously, we're getting there.
No.
What happened? What is going to happen?
We're on from now to midnight.
Like I had brought this up earlier in the week, or it might have been last week. Like, what if the Montreal team gets to the Stanley Cup Finals? Are they still going to have no fans? Like, what are they?
Well, if they win tonight and they go back, I read somewhere that they were going to have 3,000 fans for Game 6.
It's Canada's a little behind, probably just because I don't know how fast their vaccines are going. But by the time you get to like the conference final, I would imagine they're going to be at 50% capacity.
Well, we all know they're going to be.
I don't see 50%, but they're going to have some fans.
The 80s came to Canada in the 90s. Does anyone not remember Robin Sparkles? I mean, come on.
Yeah, sandcastles in the sand.
Let's go to the mall.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was just like, you just see like watching like well, well played. Like,
just falling into the ether. Yeah.
The game against when the Oilers got eliminated, like watching that game and just watching overtime and just watching no one other than the team react was like
it was hard. It was hard going from like the Islanders game. By the way, the crowd at the Islanders game was just off the hook. That had to have been just so enjoyable being there, and it just like we talked about it via text. It made me miss home Flyers games,
right?
Playoffs.
Right, and you go not that we're getting away from subject, but look at the Sixers game last night, minus the idiot pouring the popcorn. Like how loud that place was.
Yeah,
you know, like
the only sport that benefited from no fans was the UFC, mixed martial arts. Everything else, it missed the fans.
Like, do you really think the Flyers would have lost Game 7 last year 3-0 to the Islanders if there were fans in the stands?
Well, it would have been in New York.
No, wouldn't have.
Oh no, I know you're right. Holy
Flyers
shit!
Flyers were number one.
Right, that's right. Yes, they would have lost.
You think they would have lost 3-0?
If they were playing that same way, yes.
I disagree, but you know that's another argument.
But hey, guess what? It don't goddamn matter.
Instead
of Phillyverse, we'll go through the multiverse of what could have happened.
Yes,
multiverse.
Even though, by the way, off topic, I saw a meme today. There was if Doctor Strange is supposed to like look on all these people throughout the universe, and he didn't know who Thanos was.
He wasn't creative enough. He didn't look through enough.
How does that happen? The goddamn purple guy that's trying to kill half the universe. You don't know him, sweet buddy. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That's why he's a weak character.
Zordon knows about him.
Damn straight.
Mm-hmm.
Damn straight. So, kind of on these notes, and it's a good time to start wrapping up. But do you have any picks? Do you guys have any finals picks now that we're basically through the first round?
Well, it's tough to go finals. I'll give you my picks for who comes out of each division.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go. Colorado's gonna get to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's what I'm going with because I think they're really good. I mean, obviously, it's the easy.
You're going out on a limb,
right? It's like, oh, okay, you're gonna go with the best team. I'm going with Tom Brady.
Right.
No, I mean this. I know they just manhandle St. Louis, but just ridiculous how good they are. Like, but hopefully they get a good run out of Vegas because I think Vegas wins tomorrow. First Game 7 in that building, so should be rocking.
Paul,
I got Vegas winning Game 7. I have the Avs winning that series against Vegas. In Canada, I have
Toronto's playing the Habs.
They're up 3-1.
I have the Jets winning
the Peg
division.
Wow,
the Peg, and hopefully they get fans back because that place will just be insane.
They've been starving.
Yeah, they have the depth. They have the depth up front to really give Toronto fits.
Ehlers is he a free agent at the end of this year, or is Peg up against the cap? And Nikolai Ehlers?
Ehlers?
Yeah, Ehlers.
He's signed.
Okay.
He was the guy that because there were talks that they were gonna deal him to try to free up some cap room and just change things around. they have 14 million in cap space
Yeah,
next
so it's
year.
not a cap casualty.
It's not, but they have some guys coming up. Like they're gonna have to, like Stasny's UFA, who they won't bring back. They have to sign. They're gonna have to sign. How am I missing him? Dubois. They're gonna have to sign
Luke.
Dubois after next season, and Ehlers is signed at $6 million for the next 4 years. So, I mean, if I was them, I would not trade them.
No,
but,
not at $6 million.
But I like Hellebuck a lot. Their defense is they're frisky, put it that way. By the way, that defenseman Joe Stanley, whatever Stanley for the Jets, he was drafted.
Stanley.
Whatever. He was drafted right after Hexy drafted German Rubstov.
Yeah, that's great.
So, awesome.
Probably never going to make it to the NHL.
So anyway, so I think they're frisky enough. I think the Leafs will choke. I like Campbell, but I think he's not I don't think he's a starting NHL playoff goalie for a team that's trying to win a cup. So what's that?
Jets have some like pretty steady players, like who are very consistent. Like
who, the Jets?
They're
a good team.
That's crazy. I miss that.
Scheifele's really good. I mean, like they've got a lot of like players that have been good for a while.
And Dubois isn't even playing that well right now. So, and you forget 3 years ago they were in a conference finals and they lost to Vegas. So, like, they're a good team. Their issue is on the back end. They don't have the high end defenseman that some other teams have.
They have that other Ben. They got the other Ben, Jordy Ben.
They got Jordy Ben.
So the Peg is my pick out of Canada, and then out of the East, I'm gonna go Boston.
How dare you? I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you.
And no, they're playing really well. I mean, we're not gonna sit here and lie like they're not playing well. They're playing.
Tampa's
playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
I'll stick with Tampa.
Hard to pick against Tampa.
I mean, especially with seeing Carolina struggle so much with Nashville. Nashville's played well, and I like Nedeljkovic in that, but he's still young and he's good. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. That's why I said it'll be interesting.
So, I'm gonna go for it's Toronto's time. They've underperformed at times, but I also feel like if there's any year, it's this one. With this current makeup.
That's why Dubois was Dubas. That's what Dubas was thinking by signing all those guys, signing Simmons and getting Thornton. Yeah. Because if there's a year for us to do it, when we don't have to play Boston until at least the conference finals, this is it.
Yeah. I think if they don't do it this year, they've got some long, hard looks at what they're going to have to do. What they're going to have to do.
I mean, they're going to have just cap issues. They're going to have.
Yeah. They're going to have decisions to make.
Yep.
They're going to have decisions to make.
I just can't believe how easy Boston just manhandled Washington.
Boston, they're playing.
Washington was really beat up. I mean, Oshie was hurt. Ovechkin was hurt. Kuznetsov was sick from COVID, and he's one of those weird Russian guys that's all over the place. Carlson was hurt. Eller was hurt. They were too beat up, and then Samsonov wasn't ready at the beginning of the series, and he was coming off COVID, so wasn't a good time for them.
Yeah, but 2 goals in the last 8 periods of hockey. That
shows you how off their game they were.
That's Flyers-esque, like.
No, they were playing for an extended 5 games.
Yeah, they weren't on the golf course yet.
Losing game 2 when they had the late lead, that crushed them. That just sucked everything out of them. And then they blew a late lead in game 3 too.
Yeah. So I guess the last parting thing would be Alexander Ovechkin's a free agent. He doesn't leave Washington, does he?
Orange and black, baby. You heard it here first. A good friend of
sorry.
mine has insider info from Washington, and he said Ovi's coming to the Flyers because he works. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
$30 million.
The Capitals scored 2 goals in the last 11 periods because they went in that double overtime game.
And one of those goals was a one-timer by Ovi. His stick snapped in half that went off of a Bruins defenseman and in. So actual goals, they scored one.
Not a fluke. All right, so we're gonna end our conversation here for this week. We are the Tendys on Pattison. We are here every Thursday at 5:30, except for when we're here. Paul and I are here, except for when Chris has to run off and.
I'll see if I have my body for next week.
Are you getting surgery between now and next week?
Yep, I'm getting a thin, cut, ripped body.
You should have went for the head, Thor.
Yo, Thor doesn't do leg day. I don't know if you saw that picture on Instagram, but no leg day for Thor. We are here on Phillyverse, our new home, where every show's kind of built the same.
Yeah, we need some comments next week. Damn it.
Yeah, quiet. Well, it's a holiday week. People are heading down the shore. But we're here every Thursday at 5:30. Some version of the three of us. We've got Hulk arms. On Phillyverse, there are a whole host of other shows. I'm going to put those up now. Go through. There's a little something for everybody. There's 4for4 sports. There's wrestling. There's Diamond Club. Chris, they still don't have the Sixer show on here. When does that happen? Because we were partially a Sixer show tonight.
Once we're popcorn free.
Yeah, once we're popcorn free.
Hosted by Orville.
I'm hoping soon.
Okay.
I screwed up. Our other show went an extra half hour to baseball show because we started talking about Parks and Recs in the office.
All right.
If I was talking about the Phillies, I'd probably go to that too.
Yeah. When isn't it a good time to talk about the office? So you get a little bit of everything. 4for4. You got the Bald Eagle, which is Eagles talk. A little bit of wrestling. The Philly Broadcast, which is 4for4 Philly football smack talk show. Its name says it for itself. Chris, you are the one of the three tandem for the Diamond Club, which is on every Monday at 7:30. You guys have been bouncing around.
Nah, we're officially on Mondays.
Mondays at 7:30.
Yeah, my one co-host had a rough week. It's because work stuff got stolen, then his truck got stolen, and he was being kidnapped by Jeff Bezos. So it was he's had a rough week.
I feel bad. I do feel bad. Having a vehicle stolen is not a fun experience. I've been through it. It's terrible. I feel for anybody that has to go through that. But we are on Phillyverse. This is our home for the last 3 weeks now.
3 or 4 weeks.
Maybe these shows aren't. Maybe these shows aren't all built the same, but they're built pretty similarly. So you're going to want to catch us here every Thursday at 5:30. Otherwise, see you guys next week.
And I am working on getting us a call-in line number.